To change is to be greater than your environment, to be greater than your body, and to be greater than time. Your brain is processing the information, but your awareness is somewhere else. That's because you got to something that you didn't understand, and you continued on. So if you can stay present with this information and building the most complete model possible, and you can begin to integrate this into the networks of neurons that you already have, every time we build this concept and build it a little bit more, you're going to begin to wire that information into your brain so that when it comes time to apply all of this philosophical, theoretical, intellectual information for you to have an experience, you have more intention behind it. And the research shows that if you assign more meaning behind what you're doing, you get better results. They took a group of Latin American maids in Texas, and they watched them. They were cleaning hotels, and they watched these maids flip mattresses and drag, furniture across the room and scrub, floors and tubs and toilets and vacuum. And they watched them and observed them, and they found out that these maids were actually exceeding the Surgeon General's requirement for exercise. They were doing more exercise, but they were all obese. And so they divided the maids into two different categories, and they said to the one group of maids, hey, do you know that exercise is actually good for you, and you're actually exercising more than is required in the United States, and you're burning calories, which means you're burning more energy than you're eating, and exercise helps you lose weight, lose fat, it makes your waist smaller, it's good for your heart, it's good for your self-esteem, and they gave them all of the benefits of exercise. Now, the other group, they let them continue doing what they were doing mindlessly. In 1 month's time, the maids that understood what they were doing lost weight, they had smaller waist sizes, they had less body fat, their heart rate went down over 10 points, and they felt better about themselves. But they didn't change anything. All they did was they had intention behind what they were doing. So then, if the more understanding you have about what you're doing, and the more you can build this model, when we get to the meditation, there will be nothing left to conjecture. There'll be nothing left to dogma. I will leave nothing left for you to talk yourself out of it. And as I said, science is the contemporary language of mysticism. We will use a scientific model made simple. And once you accept the concept or the idea, when it comes time to change and we go through that meditation, you will know exactly what you're doing and why. So then how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality. And we said your personality creates your personal reality. So if 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old is a set of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, and attitudes that function like a subconscious computer program below your conscious awareness, and for the most part, most people are unconscious all day long. So you can't take it personally because they're just running on a program. And so then we said it usually takes what? Crisis, or trauma, or disease, or loss. And then people wake up and all of a sudden they begin to become aware of how they're being. And because they feel differently, they can look at themselves for the first time. And that concept in neuroscience is called metacognition. And because of the size of the frontal lobe, 40% of the brain, that's where your self-awareness exists. And it means then you could modify your state of being to do a better job in life. You can look at yourself, think about what you're thinking about. And one of the greatest moments in my life is when I realized just because I have a thought doesn't necessarily mean it's true. In other words, don't believe everything you think. And then you have to look at the emotions, the feelings that you look forward to, whether it's guilt or shame or unworthiness, that's become so familiar, you don't even know that you're feeling that way. It just feels like you. And you have to decide then, does this emotion belong in my future? Do I want to bring this into my future? Because as long as I'm living by this emotion, I'm living in my past. So then as you begin to observe those states of mind and body, you begin to objectify your subjective self. And just like viewing a videotape of yourself, playing baseball, playing tennis, dancing a dance, speaking publicly, whatever it is, if you can observe yourself, it means you can self-correct better. Wouldn't you agree? So then the process of change then is becoming conscious of your unconscious self. And when you begin to decide every day who you no longer want to be, you are retiring the old self. And the body will crave the emotional payoff just like an addiction. And you have to understand that that's the biological, neurological, chemical, hormonal, physiological, genetic death of the old self. And when you begin to understand that, you can work then in creating a new self. That's what the Creator would say. The Creator's already experienced it enough times that the brain and body already know what it's going to be like. But here's the payoff, though. The payoff is that when it actually happens, it's greater than you could imagine. Because your senses are now involved in the whole experience. And the quantum field, then, is the organizer of the event. It's not you that does it. It's a greater mind that begins to organize it in a way that you least expect. It has to come in a new and unusual way, because if it doesn't, then it's nothing new. Would you agree? What happened to us? That's because the body is already in the event. It's craving the unknown. So then, when you begin to see a possibility and you connect with that potential in the quantum field, and how many potentials are in the quantum field? A few? Oh, you would say infinite, yes? So with infinite possibilities that exist in the quantum field, there's infinite experiences, yes? Poke the person next to you, come on. So if there's infinite experiences, then there's infinite emotions. Would you agree? So it has nothing to do with guilt and shame and unworthiness, because the new experiences have everything to do with awe and wonder and magic and mystery. And so then if you're creating your future, because the best way to predict your future is to create it every day, not from the known but from the unknown, then your body should be waking you up in the morning like the school trip and saying, we got something to experience today. And it is that exact energy of expectation that welcomes the unknown, that welcomes the mystery, that welcomes the miraculous in your life. Once you create and you move into a state of being, if you're not making choices equal to that state of being, then you doubt in your creation. Come on, you with me? But when you are in that future and you are making choices, you are stepping into the unknown, and you're more alive in that moment than you've ever been. And you want to create because you know that if you stop, you're going to lose the magic. So then you have a vision. You're revisiting that vision every day. You're coming out of your resting state with a level of inspiration and energy. You're in a state of gratitude because you've experienced it enough times that your energy has changed and your body is beginning to believe that the event has already occurred, because gratitude's emotional signature means it has already happened. And you're aligning your behaviors with your intentions, and you're making choices to not do the same things every day. Yes? So then now I want you to think of a time in your life where you decided to do something and you didn't do it. What happened then? How about you didn't have a vision? Like you lost sight of the vision. Why did you lose sight of the vision? Oh no, it's not that. You lost sight of the vision because other people were more important. Your problems got in the way. You know, you got busy, you got emotional. You know, life got in the way, and that you put your attention on your problems in your past instead of on your future every day. And the moment you got caught up in the emotions of life and the experiences in your environment, those emotions clouded your vision. And would you agree you never got your behaviors to match your intention? You never came out of your resting state because you didn't believe it was going to happen. And you didn't believe it was going to happen because you never selected a possibility and revisited it every day until your body began to respond to a new mind. And so then what happened was you settled for mediocrity, and you settled for what you have, and you were defined by your past instead of your future. But you remember that moment where you made a decision and the hair on the back of your neck stood up and you said, I don't care what's going on in my life or what people think, environment. I don't care how I feel, body. And I don't care how long it takes, time. I'm going to do this. And all of a sudden, you felt lifted in that moment. That decision in that moment rewrote the program. Literally in that moment. And your body responded to a new mind. And if every day you could revisit that level of energy, you are broadcasting a new signature into the quantum field. Because we said thoughts are the electrical charge in the quantum field, and feelings are the magnetic charge. And how you think and how you feel broadcasts an electromagnetic signature that influences every single atom in your life. So if the thought sends the signal out and the feeling draws the event back, then the moment you move into a new state of being, because a state of being is how you think and feel, that elevated state of being now is a signal in the field that says, this is what I want to experience. And so then by you revisiting that vision every single day, you leave the details up to the greater mind. Now, think about this. It's a scientific fact that the long-term effects of the hormones of stress dysregulate and downregulate genes to create disease. You with me? And that human beings can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. i.e., your thoughts can make you sick. Now that's the ultimate mind-body connection. So the question is, if your thoughts can make you sick, is it possible that your thoughts can make you well? And people wear their emotions layer by layer to define who they think they are based on their past. Now, when those refractory period of chemicals are running from the hormones of stress because you're living in survival mode, there will always be a gap between the way things appear and the way things really are. So, if you keep turning on the stress response and knocking your body out of balance, that imbalance becomes the new balance, and now you're headed for disease. You with me? So then think about this. If you're turning on that fight or flight nervous system and going into emergency mode and knocking your body out of balance because of some threat, real or imagined, would you agree if you keep putting out that energy, there's no energy in your internal environment? So then cortisol and the hormones of stress punch holes in the immune system. And most adult onset conditions are created by the hormones of stress. So then rheumatoid arthritis, MS, cancer, allergies, food sensitivities, chronic pain, that's all immune-mediated conditions. So 95%, 9 out of 10 people that walk into a healthcare facility in the Western world walk in because of a stress-related disorder. 5% of people are born with true genetic disorders, like Tay-Sachs disease or sickle cell anemia or or any of those conditions, type 1 diabetes. The rest is based on lifestyle. And isn't it funny that all the stresses in your life end up as emotional stress? Isn't that what happens? You break your leg, it's a physical stress. Then you have to take drugs to make the pain go away, that's a chemical stress. You can't go to work, which means you're going to affect your finances, now you have an emotional stress. Those chemicals cause us to become very selfish, self-involved, self-centered, self-indulgent, self-aggrandizing, self-important, self-pity. It's all about the self. And those chemicals endorse the ego to reaffirm its attention on the body, the environment, and time. So then when we define reality with our senses because we are materialists, because those chemicals cause our senses to be heightened, the moment that happens, we begin to focus on matter instead of possibility. Now the atom is 99.9999999% nothing. It's energy, it's information. It's 0.000000001% particle. And that particle exists as a momentary phenomenon. You're moving in and out of the quantum field 8 times per second. You're more energy than you are matter. And when we live by the hormones of stress, we keep all of our attention on the particle instead of on the wave of possibility. You still with me? And the hormones of stress cause us to feel separate from possibility. If you want to change and create some future time, you have to get beyond time. If you want to create something out of nowhere, you have to get to nowhere. How many people are with me? Now, when you are no longer thinking and feeling and thinking in the same cycle, and you're no longer endorsing these hormones of stress, and you become pure consciousness, the energy that exists in these lower centers moves because it's no longer being reinforced. And guess where it goes? Right to your heart. And you begin to fall in love with your creation. And you want the moment to last. You don't want it to end because you are so present in the moment that the body literally is believing that the experience is happening. And if the thought becomes the experience, the end product of the experience is an emotion. And you begin to feel like the event is occurring, and now you're thinking and feeling differently, and now you're, instead of being in the past, you're in the future, and all of a sudden you're taking your attention off the particle, feeling separate from possibility, and now you're putting your attention on the wave of possibility, and you feel connected to something greater, and all of a sudden you trust in the outcome. You have no idea how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but you don't need to, because it's already happened to you. The purpose of meditation is to change your state of being. It is to condition your brain and body into a new state of being and then get up and maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day and be challenged by the adversity in your life, but you are now meeting your life from a new level of mind. So then when you walk into your life with an elevated level of energy, now your environment is no longer bringing you down to matter. You're lifting everything up in your environment to energy. Now people say to me, well, I want wealth. And I say, really? Why do you want wealth? And they say, because I really want to be free. Oh, so you want freedom. So then if you're creating wealth, you can't get up from your meditation until you feel free. Because if you're getting up from your meditation and you feel lack, you didn't do it. Would you agree? But if you got up and you felt free because you understand that's the emotional payoff, but you're giving your body a taste of the future before it's happened, sooner or later, you're going to knock on the door long enough and you're going to condition your body to the mind of that state. And all of a sudden, the opportunity is going to show up in your life and you're going to say what everybody else says. Boy, that was really simple.